Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, we will be discussing the new SME or Small Medium Enterprise law that has entered into effect after the latest executive regulations that have been issued. Now, as part of the law's introduction, Naveen Gamma, the Minister of Trade and Industry and the Executive Director of the Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Development Authority held a meeting with the leaders from the authority, laying down the guidelines and working mechanisms that the authority will implement during the coming period. And on this topic, we're delighted to be joined this afternoon in the studio by our guest, Mr. Riyad, the economic expert. A very good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon.
Thank you so much for joining us. Right. First and foremost, under the new law, various services and facilities will be provided to encourage citizens, especially, the youth or the entrepreneurs of the citizens, to embrace the idea of self-employment. How important is it to encourage this concept, in your opinion, sir?
It's very important that we encourage our youngsters to be able to be business people. That's why they will start with the small and medium enterprises.
Yes.
And then they develop themselves to be bigger and bigger and bigger. That means there is a start. And we have to encourage them, and we have to put a strategy towards them that they cannot, lose control on their business. We have to tell them which business should be, needed in the market. That means there is certain studies has to be done by our, universities and and people which they are aware of it. This is very, very important. That is number one. Number two, where they are going to get their raw material from, and which prices they should buy it from, to enable them to compete in the market. Number three, it is very important that the big organization will put, towards them the knowledge and the experience which they should, they had it, to enable them that they can succeed. And if they can participate as well in their business, through that they can get a part of the business from them, that will be very big help, because the market, to penetrate into the market is not easy.
It's challenging, yes. This leads me to my next question. What are the main challenges that face these entrepreneurs, especially, as you said, penetrating a new market, and the law that has been passed now really helps in addressing this issue?
Well, this is going to be, the issue is, that this business which they are going to adopt, or they are going to exercise, and to do it, they should study it very well, theoretically and practically. And if they can gain the experience, themselves, by starting from the scratch, and then this will be a very big help to enable them to manage their business,
Yes, indeed. And we've seen the state encouraging small and medium investors in participating, positively in developmental efforts. How do you see that these small medium enterprises can play this role within the state's plan for development?
Well, we always talk about financing, and we are, putting finance as a first priority. It is very important, the financing. But besides the financing, there is other issues. The know-how, the experience, the marketing, which they have to be able, to penetrate through this, and the challenge of all of this. We cannot leave our youngster in the sea, that they can drown. No, we should encourage them in a certain direction, and with a studied projects, not imaginable projects.
Right.
This is very important.
Yes, indeed. And we've seen as well the authority supporting not just startups or the youngsters, but also projects that are in existence that maybe struggled a bit during the height of the COVID pandemic. They are also being assisted by this authority. How important is that? Because they were successful before the coronavirus.
Well, it's nothing new, this small enterprises, This is, we started it a long time ago, which they are the individuals which they are doing tailoring, shoes, whatever it is. This is what we call small. But, we have to open the market for this kind of people. How could we open the market? This is the big question. And this is the challenge. And, and these people, they have to have a strategy to enable enable them to do a good job.
Yes.
The raw material prices has to be seen about it, that they will be given to them, with reasonable prices, and to enable them to compete. Otherwise, their cost will be high and they are out.
Yes. The competition, indeed. Let's talk a bit about, you mentioned an issue of, creating these opportunities. How will this help in turning, the informal sector into the formal sector? As you said, these entrepreneurs are not news, they're not new. We've seen them throughout, the ages, whether it's shoe shops or, repairs or tailors, etc. These were all operating informally as part of the informal economy. How can they be turned as part of the mainstream economy?
First, we have to identify, that we can create, their business in certain areas. That it means when we call it now, this area is for the small and medium enterprise. This is very important. Then we know that we are contain them in this business, and if we can do, every, side, this is for textile, this is for leather, this is for home textiles, this for the, if we can differentiate every business in certain areas, this will help. And this will, doesn't need to be, like we are putting, the buildings, and we are selling them, let us do something similar, that the people can be in one place. Then if we targeting somewhere, then they can exchange as well the know-how among them. And then they will teach each other, from their experience, and this will be help that things can go up.
Absolutely. Now, we've seen many international organizations as well as banks providing loans and small funds needed for these SMEs. How essential are these funds to the SMEs?
Very essential, but it is, as I said, it is not only this. This has to be combined with the studies, with the projects, with the raw material sourcing, with the lot of things has to be inside. Let us study the whole thing, and banking and financing is only part of it. The main thing that we can do a good job, and these people can be successful. The success is the target.
Success is the target, absolutely. Now, we've seen the role of SMEs before playing a very important role in other countries. For example, China, the United States, etc. How applicable is this to Egypt when it comes to our economic development?
If we are imitating it, if we go and get the details of it, and if we go through it and study it carefully, and then applying it, this is the only way of succeeding. If somebody is succeeding, we are not less than anybody else. But let us study it carefully and see the steps which should be done, and let us imitate it. There's nothing wrong of imitating it, but it's wrong that we are creating something which is going to be a failure.
So, but imitating it, but fashioning it to suit our needs in Egypt.
Of course, let us see it, the whole thing from all aspects, to enable us to do a good job. Let us do a good job. Let me put it this way.
Right. Mr. Samir, let's talk a bit about the coronavirus pandemic. This has not just affected everyone's lives, but their businesses as well. Even small, medium enterprises and entrepreneurs really struggled during the coronavirus, because suddenly everything was on lockdown. Suddenly, gathering together was an issue. So many different reasons.
Right.
But the government took lots of steps to try and assist them, also extending their loan payments, back payments, giving them more leeway, etc. How important were those steps to enable these businesses to, pass over the bump of the pandemic?
Let us first, hope that this epidemic, going to be finished. This is what we are hoping for. Definitely, the whole life has been affected.
Yes,
not
indeed.
only that is the whole thing, and the government is trying their best, to enable this surviving and their projects to be, not affected. But to certain extent, they will be, not able to contain it 100%. Hopefully, that everybody can go through this hard time.
Indeed. Right. Let's talk a bit about other enterprises that managed to not be affected during the coronavirus and actually took off and made profits. Could you tell us a bit about these projects?
Right. Definitely, this has been, a sort of a plus. Definitely the situation of Egypt between three continents, and the export business has been, enhanced during this period due to the fact that we are not far away, and the transportation issues and a lot of things which, Egypt has got a favorable positioning. It helped us, But definitely, we did a good job to, by planning it right and approach this marketing right. We have to appreciate the hard work from the government and from everybody's concerned.
Indeed, and also other informal small, medium enterprises managed to turn, to adapt to the needs of the time. So we saw lots of, for example, tailors and stuff creating face masks, for example, shifting, moving their projects to suit the times. How important was this in their survival?
Very important, because the whole movement, the transportation, the communication, there is a lot of lockdown in a lot of countries. All of these things has been affecting the whole world. That is why if we are in a favorable position due to the efforts which has been inside our business, inside our life. We are appreciating it very much.
Absolutely right. I'd like to thank you very, very much, Mr. Sami Riyad, our economic expert. Thank you so much for coming in this afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's all the time we have for today's edition of Cairo Local Time. We do hope you have enjoyed it. My name is Angie Meher. Many thanks for watching.